The legacy media wants you to believe the MAGA movement is fracturing. They want you to believe that Tucker Carlson's break with President Trump is tearing the base apart. They want you to believe that the conservative media ecosystem is collapsing. And of course, that would be very, very concerning if it weren't for the fact that the legacy media is once again wrong in every conceivable way. Just a cursory look at the actual data demolishes that entire narrative in mere minutes. And once you see what the numbers actually say, you're going to understand exactly why Tucker made a massive miscalculation and why this supposed civil war in MAGA is a whole lot of noise and very little signal. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, enjoying yet another exciting and glorious day in the Trumpian golden age that you made possible back in November 2024. So if you want a front row seat on how you continue to change the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. So let me set the stage here. For the past several weeks, a small but loud cluster of conservative media figures, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, Alex Jones, they've been publicly breaking with President Trump over Operation Epic Fury, the ongoing U.S.-Israeli military campaign against Iran. And the legacy media has been absolutely feasting on this. Every headline screams about a MAGA civil war. Every panel show brings on some quote-unquote expert to gravely predict the unraveling of the Trump coalition. And Tucker, who once called Trump's survival of an assassination attempt divine intervention, Tucker is now suggesting that Trump, I kid you not, may instead actually be the Antichrist.
Is it possible that what you're watching is a very stealthy yet incredibly effective attack on what, from a Christian perspective, is the true faith, belief in Jesus? Is that what really is under attack here? Maybe that's what's been under attack for a long time. Maybe our whole lifetime. Maybe almost everything we see is an attack on that faith. The one faith that is always attacked, always and everywhere for 2,000 years. Many faiths have been attacked. Many religious people of different religions have been killed over the past 2,000 years. But there's been only one sustained effort to exterminate a faith. And that's the Christian faith. Could that be part of it? And is it possible that the president sees this not just in geostrategic terms, in military terms, in economic terms, got open and straight? Okay. Is it possible the president sees this in bigger terms? Sees this as the fulfillment of something or the elevation to some higher office beyond President of the United States? That's entirely possible.
So there you have it. I mean, that is, you got Tucker insinuating that Trump is the Antichrist. I mean, you simply cannot get more hysterical than that. What taking out the Iranian Shiite regime could possibly have to do with trying to destroy Christianity is anyone's guess, but there you have it. And this, for me, is the biggest concern over this opposition that we're seeing from the likes of Tucker and Alex Jones and Candace Owens. It's not simply a disagreement over policy. That's absolutely valid, perfectly understandable, right? But when you start insinuating that Trump is literally Satan's spawn, that's not a debate anymore. That's what's technically known as diabolization. Literal diabolization, the rhetorical act of stripping an opponent of their humanity or legitimacy by casting them as an agent of evil rather than as a person with whom you may have serious disagreements. It's a step beyond ordinary attack rhetoric. Rather than just simply saying, Trump really screwed up here. He made a bad decision. He blew it. He squandered this coalition that he put together. He's listening to all the wrong people. Rather than keep it within the realm of policy dispute, diabolization comes out and literally says Trump is of the devil. Trump is evil. Trump is acting on very dark influences. He's doing the bidding of demonic forces. And what that rhetoric aims to do is foreclose discussion and compromise and consideration. And instead, it frames the conflict as spiritual warfare. And if you're on the opposite side, if you support this stuff that Trump is doing, you are on the side of darkness as well. So let's start with the obvious question. Why? Why is Tucker doing this? Why is he turning on Trump? Well, again, we can answer that at two levels. We can answer that on the level simply why is Tucker opposing Trump, but we can also answer it from the vantage point of why is Tucker opposing Trump in this way, in this diabolized way, in this over-the-top apocalyptic hyperbole. Well, at the first level, as to why he's turning on Trump in general, as it turns out, this isn't the first time. Right? Tucker and Trump have always had a hot and cold relationship. And we saw this going back to the Dominion subpoenas from the Fox News lawsuit and the text messages from Tucker that were revealed back in 2021. I don't know how many of you know this, but it's important that you do, just to put everything in context here. But in those texts, Tucker privately conveyed that he hated Trump. He literally said that. Quote, "I hate Donald Trump." Okay. This wasn't an insinuation like the Antichrist thing. He literally came out and said it expressly. "I hate Donald Trump." In another text, this, as I understand, this was after J6, he said that, quote, "Trump was a demonic force, a destroyer, but he's not going to destroy us." And he actually called Trump's first 4 years a, quote, "disaster." Now, that's Tucker behind the scenes. Again, whether we like it or not, it brings me no joy to report on that. That's open knowledge, though. He was reportedly livid that these texts were made public during the Dominion lawsuit, obviously, because it so contradicted his persona, his public persona. Now, of course, he did patch things up with Trump, but this is hardly the first time Tucker has renounced the president. And so the latest cause, the latest renunciation, comes as a result of the attack in Iran. Now, Tucker reportedly held 3 separate meetings with Trump in the Oval Office in the weeks leading up to Operation Epic Fury, arguing against military action. So he reportedly warned about risks to U.S. troops, oil prices, regional allies. He argued that the entire push for war was coming from Bibi Netanyahu and that Trump should restrain him. Trump heard the arguments, right? Then Trump made his decision and Tucker lost. And instead of saying, maybe Trump had intel I don't have, maybe Trump had information that I'm not privy to, rather than the epistemological humility that I think comes from the fact whenever we're trying to analyze an event that's centered around top secret, material. Rather than that, Tucker, he loses an argument, and now Trump is the Antichrist. I don't know what else to say on that. So the obvious question here is, do voters agree with Tucker? Is the MAGA coalition really split between the dissenting podcasters and the president? That's certainly what the legacy media wants you to believe. But the numbers are in, and you're not going to believe it. But first, the stock market and its relation to Iran. As many of you know, President Trump gave Iran a hard deadline to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, and they blinked. We got the ceasefire. The strait is reopening, all the while Iranian ports are getting blockaded by U.S. naval forces. And the market responded immediately. The Dow surged nearly 1,400 points in a single day, and oil prices plummeted. That's what happens when you have a president who negotiates from strength instead of weakness. But remember, negotiations are still happening, oil prices are swinging, and while the mainstream media is busy debating the politics of all this, smart investors are looking at the opportunities. And when I have questions about what's really going on in the markets, I reach out to a good friend of mine, Mark Wilburn of Neos Capital. Mark has been trading for nearly 20 years, and he has an incredible track record of calling major market moves before they happen. In fact, last year, he called out 141 trades, and 78% of those were winners. So when I asked Mark for his take on Iran, he sent me some interesting insights on what to expect. Mark also mentioned there's a lot of opportunity right now to take advantage of some big shifts happening in certain sectors. But you got to know what you're doing and what's really going on, which is why I'm so excited to announce that Mark will be hosting a free online training event called the Freedom Trading Summit on Thursday, April 16th and Saturday, April 18th. The whole idea is how to reclaim control of your family's wealth from woke Wall Street fund managers and the government. He'll break down how the Iran situation, Trump's foreign policy are creating specific opportunities in certain sectors and how you can prosper from it. This event is for everyone, whether you're brand new to trading or already active in the market. So if you're wondering what you should do to position yourself to prosper in these turbulent times, then click the link below or go to freeturleyticket.com to claim your spot. Mark's agreed to open up registration for free for all our listeners because he wants to support patriots just like you. Go to freeturleyticket.com right now to reserve your spot April 16th and 18th. You're going to absolutely love it.
Let's start off with Tucker Carlson, who has been in absolute free fall with Republicans. I mean, just take a look at this. Look at this trend line. Tucker Carlson's net favorable. Back in March of 2024, when he and Donald Trump were very close friends, look at this. He was at plus 54 points. Look at where he is today at only plus 7 points among Republicans, and that includes GOP-leaning independents. I mean, that is a drop of, 47 percentage points. My goodness gracious. When you go up against Donald Trump and you want to appeal to the Republican base, to quote the movie Good Burger, you go on the grinder, and that is exactly what has happened to Tucker Carlson, who has absolutely collapsed among Republicans.
So if it is a choice between the president and Tucker Carlson among these voters, what do they basically say?
Yeah, they choose Donald Trump basically every single time. Look at this. Okay, the exact same poll, this UMass Lowell poll. Look at this. Net favorables among Republicans. Again, this is Republicans plus Republican-leaning independents. You see Carlson on the right side of your screen at plus 7 points. Look at where Donald Trump is, at plus 61 points. And this is actually a little bit low for Donald Trump. In other polls around the same time, he was even higher than this. Again, he is crushing Tucker Carlson. What is this? This is a 54-point advantage for Donald Trump over Tucker Carlson when it comes to who is more popular among Republican voters. And, of course, this is even just talking about the MAGA base, where Donald Trump is running an approval rating somewhere between 97 and 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get much worse than that if you're Tucker Carlson. Bottom line, he's absolutely imploding in terms of his approval among the Republican base. Very similar to what happened to Matt Drudge back in 2018 when he turned on Trump. Drudge Report, if you don't know, has since lost 81% of its daily traffic since he turned on Trump. I mean, Drudge Report literally crashed into irrelevance. And unfortunately, that's what Tucker risks doing here. There's really no way around this. If Tucker were right, if the MAGA base were genuinely fracturing over Iran, as he repeatedly said, I mean, you'd expect to see specific things. You'd expect to see 50, 60, 70 House Republicans calling for the war to end. You'd see 10 Republican senators joining Democrats to cut off funding. You'd see prominent Republican figures like Tom Cotton or strategists like Dick Morris coming out and saying, this is not right, this is a disaster. Have you seen any of that? Have you seen any sign whatsoever of mass Republican revolt over Operation Epic Fury? I mean, instead, look at the actual numbers. JL Partners asks, whose foreign policy do you support more, Trump's or Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly's? Voters sided with Trump 84-6. They side with Trump by 78 points. Very similar to the CNN polling. Rasmussen polling shows that among Republicans, generally support for Operation Epic Fury is running at 90% among self-identified MAGA Republicans. It's even higher Fox News polling, remember Fox tends to lean left in their polling methodology, they find Trump at a 98% approval rating among MAGA loyalists. And again, contrast that with CNN's own data analyst Harry Ented showing that it's Tucker who is in free fall with Republicans, not Trump. And so when Trump has once again gotten on your bad side, as he has with Tucker, by pursuing a war that Tucker so steadfastly opposes, what happens then, if you're Tucker, when you find out that the supermajority of MAGA is all for it? They're simply not listening or buying Tucker's opposition. What do you do with that? Well, you appeal to this notion of mass deception. You blame that failure of persuasion on dark spiritual forces that have blinded the masses to seeing reality. And that's why I think Tucker's got into this literal diabolical hyperbole here. So to me, this is where this esoteric bent comes from, this apocalyptic rhetoric. In the end, it's an admission. It is an inadvertent admission by Tucker that no one's buying what he's peddling. In the end, Tucker seems to have confused influence with representation. He thought his millions of followers meant he spoke for the MAGA movement. But as it turns out, he doesn't. The voters do. You do. And right now, you, the voters, are solidly with Trump.